In this video, we will be examining the astrological ages and how this cycle may fit within a binary star model. We will also look at research into the star Sirius and her role in all of this. Sirius is often associated with Orion in star lore, yet she is also known for her connection with Lionsgate on the 8th of August, when Sirius rises at pre-dawn. This happens from late July and throughout August and September due to her heliacal rising. This depends on the latitude, with Sirius rising in Egypt at pre-dawn around the time of the 8th of August. Yet Sirius can still be seen in the early morning at the same time as the Sun during early August in the UK, although she doesn't rise before the Sun until September, when she is known as the morning star. Sirius the star is found on the nose of Canis Major, the great dog, and is therefore called the dog star. During Leo season, when Sirius is bright in the mornings, the days were known as the dog days of summer, from the Roman phrase dies cananculares, since the Greeks and Romans believed the dog days were connected to the heat and light coming from Sirius. So what happens during the dog days, and what was the star lore behind Sirius, which aligns with Orion at this time? Celestial alignments with Orion and Leo within the Giza site in Egypt regarding the positions of the Great Pyramids and the line-like Sphinx have been studied, and Walter Cruttenden once wrote that in the past, due to precession, the belt stars of Orion would have aligned neatly with the three Great Pyramids at Giza, and the Sphinx, with the body of a lion with face Leo, exactly as that constellation rose on the vernal equinox around 10,500 BC to 11,500 BC, depending on precession methodology. Inside the pyramids were found air shafts, which were narrow ducts leading up to the heavens. In the Great Pyramid, these shafts were thought to be aligned with Alpha Draconis, the dragon, Orion's belt, Sirius, and Ursa Minor. The Queen's chamber pointed to Sirius, and the King's chamber pointed to Orion. In star lore, Orion was linked with Sa or Osiris, and Sirius was connected with his lover, Sopdet or Isis. For the Egyptians, the rising of Sirius at dawn every year in July and August marked the start of the annual flooding of the Nile, and she was seen as a bright symbol of fertility, and the yearly resurrection of Osiris after his death by Set, his brother. Sirius was very important to the Egyptians, and their Sophic calendar cycle was connected to the heliacal rising of Sirius, which is seen at pre-dawn every summer, and Sirius would appear in the sky along with the Sun, aligned beneath the three stars of Orion. On Lionsgate on the 8th of August, the date of 8/8, we can see two infinity symbols of two 8s. Interestingly, there are currently 88 designated constellations of stars, and 8 is the number of Saturn or Father Time, who is said to govern the ages of time. Orion and Sirius are significant to other places across the world. In Indonesia, on the equator, Orion was used as a marker for the agricultural season. Orion is located over the celestial equator, meaning that it is visible across the world. In her book, Leni Riedek described the alignment of temples in Malta, which shifts slightly with a precession curve that fits with Sirius, demonstrating its importance. And the Dogon tribe in West Africa considered Sirius as their most important star, which their ancestors were connected to. In the star lot of Britain and Ireland, the hunter Orion archetype and his loyal dog Sirius of Canis Major was a strong theme evident in much folklore. Orion and the Scorpion had challenges and were positioned at the opposite ends of the sky in Greek mythology, meaning that they never appear in the sky together. Yet over time, there's been a lot of misinformation and misunderstanding surrounding Sirius or Lionsgate. Much of this can be egoic and divisive, and there can be a lack of awareness about why Sirius and her heliacal rising was so respected by the ancients, which is reflected in theories of alignments of Sirius and Orion at ancient sites across the world, and how she features in mythology. Yet her significance goes deeper, and it is thought by some that she could be connected to us in a binary star cycle. In his book, Lost Star of Myth and Time, Walter Cruttenden spoke about how the ancient Western and Eastern philosophers perceived time to move in cycles or ages, with corresponding societies which either rose to enlightenment or fell into decay. Their view was of a cyclical universe rather than a linear evolution as presented by many historians today. It is the basis of ancient Vedic theory of the Yugas, which says that history repeats itself in great cycles. In the West, the Greeks were the last to openly teach this belief, calling the cycle the perfect year, or great year. It was believed that this cycle was connected with the precession of the equinoxes. This is the position of the sun against the zodiac as it rises above the horizon on the spring equinox, which slowly moves backwards or precesses over the years. Currently, we are in the last stages of the age of Pisces, preparing for our shift into the age of Aquarius. According to Walter, this large cycle consisted of 4 time periods called by the Greeks the ages of gold, silver, bronze and iron, again similar to but different from the 4 seasons. These were further divided into shorter periods that collectively corresponded with the 12 zodiacal constellations, meaning that there were 12 ages within this great cycle, just as there are 12 months within a year. We are currently learning more about the movements and cycles of stars in our universe, and many are binary stars, meaning that they orbit around one or more other star. Walter Cruttenden believes that our star is a binary star and has been conducting research at the Binary Research Institute. Yet this idea is not new, and in 1894 the Hindu sage Swami Sri Yukteswar also described that our star is evolving around another star in a cycle of about 24,000 years instead of 432,000 years as some previously posited. In this model, as the 2 suns approach each other, reflecting back their light, we experience golden ages, and as the suns move away from each other, the earth goes into periods of darkness and darker ages. In Hindu culture, this was known as the Yuga cycle, consisting of the Satya, Treta, Dvapara and Kali Yugas. There can be a lot of misinterpretation regarding Yuga science, with some asserting that the cycle is absurdly long and no longer correlating with the precession of equinox cycle, which is just under 26,000 years long and is an observable aspect of astronomy. Again, it is good to be mindful that these are the darkest of times for humanity, and much of our divine science has been lost and is slowly returning to us in bits and pieces. Cruttenden also quoted from Sri Yukteswar that this era of Yuga science was made during the time of Raja Parikshit, who most likely did not want to announce to the world that they had entered into the darkest of ages of Kali Yuga during his reign, and so he prolonged the cycles. This act of deceit was, ironically, as expected for the times of Kali Yuga. In these darkest times of disconnection, it is important to be discerning, since we all carry different filters, and to trust our judgment and what our soul communicates. For the skeptics, Walter shared about the science about how stars can affect us more than we may realise, since every star produces electrical and magnetic forces in varying degrees, and a number of well-documented cases suggest that certain stars can dramatically impact Earth and its processes. Electricity is a result of electrons in motion, and everything has electrons, so it can be said that everything in the physical universe has electrical properties, or electricity to some degree. All rotating bodies have magnetic fields, from the tiniest electron up to the largest star, albeit some much greater than others. Our universe is literally awash with subtle electrical and magnetic properties, or electromagnetic waves, if you will. Walter also pointed out that we also know that other suns do already impact us, and solar flares from distant suns have already been recorded, and radio blackouts have been experienced from solar radiation. We are currently in Kali Yuga, the darkest age of conflict and sin. This age is challenging, with much disconnection, forgetfulness, lies, confusion, and karmic patterns to address. In this age, the sun and its binary sun are furthest away from each other, according to the binary star model. Kali Yuga is evident in our times, and the Norse poem The Philosopher from the 13th century described the calamity of this era. Brothers will fight and kill each other. Sisters' children will defile kinship. It is harsh in the world, whoredom rife. An axe age, a sword age, shields are riven. a wind age, a wolf age, before the world goes headlong. No man will have mercy on another. In the Bible, these final iron times were described in the scenes and final judgment of the book of Revelation. And he shall rule them with a rod of iron, as the vessels of a potter shall be broken to shivers. We are currently transitioning from the age of Pisces going into the age of Aquarius, but it's likely that we are also moving out of the challenging times of Kali Yuga as well. Some astrologers such as Pam Gregory and Bibhu Dev Misra have discussed how we could be closing out of Kali Yuga in March 2025, according to calculations from the Saptarshi calendar. Like Sri Yukteswar, Bibhu has also acknowledged the loss of information, inaccuracy and distortion of Yuga science over the duration of the challenging Kali Yuga, and has pieced together his theory in his book Yuga Shift, seeking to find correlations with other calendars and cycles across the world, which speak of an end time, judgment, purification, and a coming age towards unity consciousness. The earliest Indian calendar was a Saptarshi calendar with a cycle of 2,700 years. According to these cycles, Bibhu Dev Misra interpreted a full Yuga cycle with transitional periods of 300 years, which could be extended to accommodate for a longer Yuga cycle of 25,800 years. The time of the meltwater pulse 1b, when Atlantis sank, according to Plato's dates, was at the end of Satya Yuga, the Golden Age, and the start of the descending Silver Age, according to these calculations. Kali Yuga is said to end in 2025, with a transitional period until the next age. Science is also catching up with this and the theory of a binary system which creates the Great Year Cycle. In one talk, Walter Cruttenden spoke about the evidence we currently have from astrophysicists, which points to the likelihood of there being a large mass which is influencing our Sun and planets. Some astrophysicists are looking in the direction of Sirius, Orion's belt, and up to Pleiades for the discovery. Cruttenden and his researchers noticed that in the outer solar system, the most distant objects swing out in a strange way all in one direction, suggesting that there is a massive planet or sun keeping them in that position as they go around the sun. Some believe that Sirius could be the second binary star for a few reasons. Firstly, Sirius doesn't move like the other stars in precession, and from ancient times its position has not changed much at all. Secondly, Sirius was described by the ancients as a red star, meaning that it had redshift. If a star has redshift, it means that it is moving away from us. Nowadays, Sirius is seen as blue-white, and blue shift means that an object is moving towards us. This may suggest that instead of moving across the sky in precession, there is something curious happening with Sirius, and it may be moving in a cycle with our Sun. If the binary model of our Sun is correct for Sirius, then our Sun moving away from her led to dark times, and moving towards her led to golden ages. There are potentially mixed blessings associated with her, and in traditional astrology, these themes are evident. Apollonius Rhodius in the 3rd century BC described Sirius when rising from the ocean as brilliant and beautiful, but full of menace for the flocks. The Greek astronomer Aratus in the 3rd century BC described Sirius as having the keenest of all blazes, with a searing flame. Having a dog star as our eternal and loyal best friend seems very apt. The dog is also perhaps the most loving of animals. They have a huge heart and come as a blessing into our lives, just as Sirius was treasured by the ancients.